Live from WRAL News headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
I'm tracking a cold front that's likely to bring us a few showers this afternoon and then much colder temperatures for the weekend. I'll show you what to expect.
A common connection. In just minutes, hear from the person behind the company that rented cars to the Bourbon Street attack and the Vegas explosion suspects.
The U.S. Surgeon General is sounding the alarm about the link between alcohol and cancer, the changes he's calling for to reduce people's cancer risk.
A cold front will cross our area in just a few hours. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chris Loving, in for Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us on this Friday. That front will bring light rain and colder air. Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at what we can expect. Elizabeth.
Looking at some snow right now falling in the mountains, but nothing is happening here right now. We're looking at a mix of sun and cloud cover. That cold front will move through, and around mid-afternoon, 3 or 4 o'clock, we'll likely see a sprinkle or two. The rain will be very light. It'll be fast moving. We're just not going to see a whole lot with it. We take a look at Dill Doppler 5000 radar. Definitely not seeing anything developing yet, but the models don't have that rain arriving until closer to, say, 3 or 4 o'clock. It's out of here by around 5 or 6, so it's going to be very fast moving, and we'll likely see maybe a 1/10 of an inch or so in terms of just how much we'll see. Once it moves on by, we'll see much colder temperatures. Right now, we're looking at variably cloudy skies, a little bit of blue trying to peek out there over North Hills. It is 46 degrees, and the wind's starting to pick up. Southwest right now at around 11. We'll see gusts 15 to 20 miles per hour this afternoon. Right now, temperatures are mostly in the mid to upper 40s if you're about to head out the door currently. Taking a look at our forecast as we get through the day, we'll see highs in the low 50s, which is close to normal. But temperatures tomorrow will be a good 10 degrees colder than that. And then a wind chill on top of that. And I'll show you how it will feel coming up.
Elizabeth, thanks. This morning, the White House announced that President and First Lady Biden will travel to New Orleans on Monday. The Bidens will meet with officials on the ground and grieve with families and community members affected by the Bourbon Street attack. In the last 2 hours, we had a chance to hear from the CEO of a car rental app about its own investigation into what happened. WRAL's Noah Klein is here now with what the head of Turo had to say about how the men rented vehicles from the company and what they've learned about it so far. Noah.
Renee, this is a brand new interview just this morning with Turo's CEO. The key here, as we've been reporting, is both men connected to these incidents had rented cars from the same company, and they were both electric vehicles. The CEO was on CNBC for about 15 minutes talking about the impact this has had on Turo and their own investigation into what happened. This app, it's similar to like an Airbnb. People rent out their cars. Sometimes they meet in person to drop off the car, or there's some sort of remote handoff. Turo has around 150,000 people renting out their cars. Right now, there are 350,000 active vehicle postings. The company says it can't reveal info about its screening process other than it involves checking on a renter's driver's license.
They could have boarded any flight. They could have rented any other car in any traditional car rental chain. They could have checked into any hotel. And there were no red flags. No one would have flagged them as a security risk. So it's a very challenging situation to deal with.
The company says it is cooperating with law enforcement to help in this investigation. We should also mention here, new this morning, Reuters is reporting U.S. law enforcement and intelligence agencies are concerned about copycat attacks. A new bulletin urges law enforcement personnel and private security firms to be aware that in many previous cases, attackers who rammed their vehicles into crowds were armed and continued their attacks with other weapons.
Noah, thanks. We're also learning more about the Green Beret investigators say was behind this explosion at a Trump hotel in Las Vegas. Investigators say they found Master Sergeant Matthew Livelsberger's passport, credit cards, and military ID inside the charred Cybertruck. A neighbor in his Colorado Springs community says he and his partner had a new baby at home. Stay with us on air and online as we learn more about these developing stories. We have complete coverage on WRAL.com and on the news app.
So if you don't drink, don't start. And if you do, now is the time to reduce your intake. That is the advice from a health expert. This morning, the U.S. Surgeon General called for a warning about the risk of cancer to be included on all alcoholic beverages. Let's bring in WRAL's Destiny Patterson. She is live outside of an ABC store in Raleigh. Destiny, this is all about awareness.
That's right. Federal health officials say that not enough Americans are aware of the cancer risk associated with drinking alcohol. And that's why the U.S. Surgeon General is wanting to add warning labels on alcoholic beverages to not only bring that awareness, but also warn people about the risks associated. The U.S. Department of Health and Human Services says the risk of developing cancer can start to increase with just one drink a day. It's the third leading preventable cause of cancer in the U.S. DHHS says drinking alcohol is associated with 7 types of cancer, including breast, throat, and liver cancer. Murthy also wants to reassess the recommended limits for alcohol consumption. And in our next half hour, we're going to bring you some alcohol-free alternatives. Destiny Patterson, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
And so today we're asking on a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being very concerned, how concerned are you about alcohol causing cancer? Share your voice right now by scanning the QR code right there on your screen, or you can head to WRAL.com/yourvoice. We'll share the results before the end of this newscast.
Let's give you a live look now from Capitol Hill. This is the House floor where the first order of business for the House is underway. They're voting right now. Republicans are in control of the House and Senate for the first time since 2019. And today they are voting on who they want for Speaker of the House. Garrett Hake reports current Speaker Mike Johnson needs 218 votes to win the Speaker's election.
This morning, Mike Johnson is still working to lock down the votes he'll need to keep the Speaker's gavel, as some members of the paper-thin House Republican majority continue to withhold their support. Conservatives like South Carolina's Ralph Norman leaving a meeting with Johnson Thursday still undecided.
That doesn't sound like you're close to making a decision.
No, I would say that. We'll know tomorrow. A day in politics is like a minute. It's always changing.
Johnson was elected Speaker in October of 2023, ending weeks of chaos after a small group of Republicans ousted former Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who needed 15 ballots over 4 days to secure the gavel. With a small and often squabbling majority, Johnson's GOP House relied heavily on Democrats to move must-pass bills. That, plus his support for Ukraine and its war against Russia and other stances, have created Republican skeptics, including Kentucky's Thomas Massie, the only Republican to publicly claim he won't vote for Johnson today.
You can pull all my fingernails out. You can shove bamboo up in them. You can start cutting off my fingers. I am not voting for Mike Johnson tomorrow. And you can take that to the bank.
If all Democrats vote for leader Hakeem Jeffries as expected, all it would take is one additional Republican vote against Johnson to block him. Johnson secured the endorsement of President-elect Trump earlier this week, meeting with him at Mar-a-Lago on New Year's Day, now touting Mr. Trump's support and predicting he'll claim victory on the first ballot.
Every single Republican can put aside their personal preferences every day and work together for the team.
Johnson and allies arguing that Congress can't start the work Republicans were elected to do or even certify Donald Trump's election until the party rallies around a speaker, ideally him.
I think everybody understands clearly the mandate that we have, the importance of the moment, and I think they're going to come and get along.
And as soon as the voting is done, we will let you know the result. The FBI is offering up to $500,000 for information that helps them identify and arrest the person who planted bombs outside the DNC and RNC in the nation's capital the night before the January 6th riot. Fortunately, neither device detonated. The suspect, who is wearing a hood, gloves, and a mask, can be seen placing the devices near both headquarters on the evening of January 5th.
Durham's longest-serving mayor will be immortalized with a street named after him. Bill Bell was honored today on his 84th birthday. He was mayor of Durham from 2001 until 2017, after serving 26 years on the county commission. Bell is credited with revitalizing Durham's downtown and spearheading the development of the popular Durham Performing Arts Center. The street in front of that building now has his name.
And having DPAC and having the effect that it has had on the city and everything, and to see that all that hard work, because it was a lot of hard work, to see that people really appreciate and valued him, and to have him honored while he's alive.
City Council's vote to rename Vivian Street to William V. Bill Bell Way was unanimous.
That has a nice ring to it. President Biden has decided to block a Japanese company from buying and taking over U.S. steel. The announcement came this morning. Last month, a panel of federal regulators that reviews takeovers of U.S. companies by foreign buyers referred the final decision to the president. Some senior advisors are concerned the purchase could hurt relations with Japan. President-elect Donald Trump also said he would have blocked Nippon Steel from acquiring U.S. steel. JetBlue Airways must pay $2 million for delayed flights on 4 routes, including JFK to RDU International. Under DOT rules, a flight is chronically delayed if it has been flown at least 10 times a month and arrives more than 30 minutes late more than half of the time. Cancellations are also included as delays in the DOT's calculation. The money will go to JetBlue customers affected by delays or disruptions within the next year. The other half will go directly to the U.S. Treasury.
Let's get you a look at the stocks and how they're performing this afternoon. Looks like the Dow is up 285 points there. Also looking at the S&P 500 at 62 points up, with the NASDAQ up about 270 points. We've also been monitoring the situation with Boeing because of an announcement it made today regarding the steps it has taken since that door plug blowout. In fact, we are just shy of a year from that door plug blowout, the anniversary I refer to. This noon, hear how Boeing says it has improved passenger safety a year later after significant setbacks.
From space down to Kenya, we'll get you a closer look at this object, plus what it could be.
And we've told you much about the Bourbon Street attack suspect, but this afternoon, you're going to hear more about the victims and the lives they lived.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
Boeing says it has made strides to improve passenger safety. It's been nearly a year after a door plug blew off in Alaska Airlines 737. The company focused on 4 main categories of improvements: elevating safety and quality culture, investing in workforce training, simplifying manufacturing processes and plans, as well as eliminating defects. Boeing said today it has addressed over 70% of production action items based on employee feedback. Federal investigators are looking into a small plane crash in California that killed 2 people. Security camera video captured the ball of fire rising from the roof of a warehouse after the crash. 2 people died in the crash, more than a dozen others injured. The small plane had just taken off when the pilot requested an immediate return to the airport, but the plane went down before it could reach the runway.
A 24-year-old woman is accused of stabbing a man at a New York deli, and he died. Police say this happened when a postal worker was grabbing lunch at the deli. That's when a woman got into a dispute with him over who was in line first to order. Well, officers say that's when she pulled out a knife and stabbed the man in the stomach, and he died at the hospital. The woman was charged with first-degree murder.
People have low tolerance. I feel safe because I'm vigilant, you know what I mean? But anything can happen at any point in time.
All over who was in line first, and police did recover the knife at the scene. Also in New York, the state attorney general has recused herself from the Robert Brooks deadly prison beating case. Letitia James released a statement saying there were internal conflicts, specifically with Marcy Correctional Facility officers suspected of the beating last month. Brooks died one day after officers reportedly punched and kicked him. He was serving a 12-year sentence for assault. And James says 4 of the officers are represented by lawyers in the Attorney General's office for unrelated matters.
The Kenya Space Agency is investigating an object they say fell from space and landed in a village in the eastern part of the province. The metallic, partially burnt, ring-shaped object landed in a village in Makwene County. It weighs around 1,000 pounds. It's 8 feet in diameter. A space official says it's likely a fragment from a rocket.
We are to assess the impact to the area, identify whose space object it is, so that we can use the existing legal mechanisms under international law as far as the Outer Space Treaty is concerned.
Space officials say local residents should not be afraid and that the ring is possibly from a rocket separation stage.
This year started with one of the strongest and quickest meteor showers of the year. The Quadrantids peaked for about 6 hours early this morning, and dozens of meteors streaked across the skies. The next meteor shower is the Lyrids, and those will peak in mid-April. A blue moon is one thing, right? But turns out there's a black moon too. That's when the moon is positioned between Earth and the sun. This makes it nearly invisible to the naked eye. A black moon is basically the second new moon of the month. It's something that rarely occurs. Monday's black moon will keep the night sky exceptionally dark overnight. Now, if you missed this one, another black moon is expected to happen on August 23rd.
2025 is off to a great start for Miss North Carolina, Carrie Everett. The NCCU student was one of 3 winners of this year's Miss America's Talent competition. Each winner received a $3,000 scholarship. The competition also includes evening wear, interviews, and fitness rounds. The pageant eliminated its swimsuit round in 2018 and announced that it would no longer judge contestants based on their external physical appearance. A way to represent North Carolina.
Yeah, and if you're going to be out there today, maybe, I don't know, modeling for your own pictures to put on social media, you're probably going to have a coat on, at least for the weekend for the most part. Today, it's warmed up a little bit since this morning, Elizabeth.
It has, it was down into the 20s this morning in a lot of places. And, we're going to climb on up into the 50s this afternoon. This little bit of sunshine is going to help that. We're beginning to see the clouds thin from Raleigh westward and then back over toward the Triad. But a lot of us, especially from Raleigh eastward, Fayetteville eastward on the I-95 corridor, still stuck in those clouds. Those clouds will slide eastward, and everybody's going to have a window of sunshine before we see this cold front move on through. It's moving into the mountains now, producing some snow. Notice here on Dill Doppler 5000 radar, we are dry. We're not seeing any rain currently. Definitely seeing a good bit of snow falling in the mountains right now. And even though you can see just a little bit of color there between Raleigh and Fayetteville, none of that is actually reaching the ground. It's happening way up in the upper levels of the atmosphere. Here's Futurecast. Right now, of course, we're seeing some snow falling in the mountains. We're going to see that break in the cloud cover. And then right around 3 o'clock, we'll end up from, say, Durham up towards South Hill with an isolated shower. And between 4 and 5 o'clock, it moves along and east of I-95 and out of here. And we'll see a little bit of sunshine before the sun sets. After that, though, our wind shifts to northwesterly and it begins to pick up. We'll see gusts around 15 to 20, maybe even 25 miles per hour during the evening. That wind dies down a little bit before tomorrow morning, but wind chill is still going to be an issue for early Saturday and even into the afternoon. Here's a look at Raleigh right now, past the North Carolina Museum of Natural Sciences. We're seeing some blue sky there. A temperature of 46, but we should climb another 5 degrees to around 51, and that's very close to normal for this time of year. Beautiful Weather Watcher photo from Priscilla Hollingsworth from Hope Mills. Look at that color. That is spectacular. We love your Weather Watcher photos. Go to WRAL.com, search Weather Watchers, and send us what you have. This afternoon, 51 in Raleigh, 50 in Durham, and 55 degrees in Fayetteville. This is going to be the warmest that it will be for a while. Very close to the normal high, 52. We'll drop at 10 degrees tomorrow for 41, and then we keep it in the 40s all the way through the rest of the 7-day forecast. Pretty chilly again on Tuesday. So right now, Saturday and Tuesday look like the coldest days of the next 5. This is a look at our temperatures and the wind chill overnight tonight. So around midnight, it'll feel like 24, but between 5 and 7, it's going to feel like 18 or 19 degrees. So if you're an early morning runner or just happen to be up and out and about early Saturday, early tomorrow, it's going to be very chilly. And even in the afternoon, if you're hoping it might warm up a little bit, the wind chill's still going to be right around 32. We'll see plenty of sunshine, but that breeze will stick around for us for Saturday. On Sunday, we'll see a bit more cloud cover, and the next big event that happens is some rain Sunday night into Monday. There's been some talk, especially along and north of the Virginia line, that there could be some frozen precipitation. So we're going to take a deeper dive into that and talk more about what we could end up seeing on Monday coming up in just a little bit. Behind that front on Monday, our temperatures continue to drop. Look at that, 37 for the high on Tuesday.
That's for all the colder weather lovers out there. We know there are some of you. A surge in stolen guns today on WRAL News at 4. The issue in both Raleigh and Durham, and where investigators believe the common place people are getting them from.
And a neighborhood nuisance for more than a decade, now coming down. Tonight at 5:30, how WRAL investigates got results for this community. Your time is 12:20. Apple is settling a privacy lawsuit over Siri. How much users could stand to gain if the courts approve this.
It's a symbol of wealth, but you'll have to shell out a little more for a Rolex oyster. What the company says is to blame.
Just a heads up, time is running out to enroll in health insurance for 2025. You may be thinking, oh no, what do I do? Guys, we got your back. 5 on Your Side is here to help. On Tuesday, you can get answers to your questions about Affordable Care Act plans for free. Experts with the North Carolina Navigator Consortium will be here at WRAL, and they'll be taking your calls, answering your questions, and scheduling appointments to sign you up for an ACA plan. Tune in Tuesday for details about how to call and get your questions answered. Union representatives and port employees return to the table Tuesday. The goal is to come to some agreement on a contract while a strike is possible. Now, a strike could mean you're paying more for certain goods. A temporary deal was reached in October with the employers of those ports after nearly 45,000 dock workers went on a 3-day strike. It grants workers a 62% wage hike over 6 years. However, the issues over automation, well, those are unresolved. If a new deal is not reached by January 15th, workers could carry out another strike.
Apple has agreed to pay nearly $100 million to settle a lawsuit accusing the company of using Siri to eavesdrop on people. The suit alleges Apple secretly activated Siri to record conversations through the iPhone and other devices for more than a decade. Those recordings happened even when people did not use the trigger words, "Hey Siri." If the settlement is approved, millions of Apple users could get up to $20 per device. Rolex watches are getting even more expensive this year. Gold prices are up after central banks around the world cut rates last year. Rolex gold watches cost as much as 14% more this year compared to last year. For example, the white gold version with the Oyster Flex bracelet has a suggested price of $38,100. That's an increase from its $35,000 price last year.
A difference I'm sure only some people may notice there. So in less than 2 hours, Animate Raleigh returns to the convention center. And this festival is from the people behind GalaxyCon. It focuses on all things animated. Voice actors and artists will be there through Sunday. There's even a cosplay contest. You can compete for more than $4,000 in cash, medals, and bragging rights. Tickets start at $50, and children 9 years and younger are admitted free with a paid adult. And it is your final weekend to see some pretty amazing art displays in downtown Raleigh. The Illuminate Art Walk is happening through Monday, and this is a free self-guided walking tour. There are 19 different exhibits if you want to check them out.
We've heard a lot about the man who carried out a terrorist attack in New Orleans. Now we're learning more about the victims of that tragedy. A look at the lives snuffed out by hatred.
Plus a lesson in our state's history. Tomorrow, you can learn about Emancipation Day in North Carolina. This is why we are going to preview 3 special events in a live interview. And just in case you missed them, here are your winning NC Education Lottery numbers for Thursday.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Welcome back. It's been a relatively dry week this week. Some of us could see some showers later today, but the widespread rain is coming after the weekend. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is tracking our rain chances for us.
It's just a 20% chance for this afternoon. It's going to be in and out really quickly. And Saturday, the big focus will be cold, dry, cold, chilly, breezy kind of weather. And then on Sunday night into Monday, that's when we're going to see a more potent system that comes in. Most of us are just going to see rain out of this. But of course, the line for where we could see some wintry precipitation is likely to be right here at the Virginia line. So it's possible that Roxborough or any of our counties here that are right along the line could see a little bit of that bleeding over, maybe a little bit of sleet, maybe a little freezing rain. It's possible that we would see some heavy snow farther into Virginia, but at this point, it's most likely that the bulk of our viewing area will see rain, but it will be an uncomfortable rain. It's going to be a cold rain for sure. We take a look at what we're expecting for today. This is lunchtime. We'll roll it out for the afternoon, and some snowfall accumulating in the mountains and then well up the Appalachians and over toward D.C. And then we add in Monday. This version of Futurecast is assuming that cold air could catch up with some rain and change it over to snow. And that is rarely a good snow forecast for us. So again, more likely that the bulk of us are going to end up with rain out of this. As a matter of fact, for Monday, there's a 0 chance of an inch of snow in Raleigh and in Fayetteville. It does look like we have a small chance of seeing some accumulating ice up around South Hill. That could be enough to produce a few isolated power outages. But again, you can see much of that is up into Virginia, Roanoke Rapids, maybe seeing just a little piece of that. Coming up, we're going to talk a little bit more about our potential for icy conditions coming up.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, the U.S. House is preparing to select a speaker. This is a live look at the House floor right now. They are currently in a short recess. Speaker Mike Johnson needs 218 votes to win the speaker's election. The first vote will be to select the Speaker of the House. Of course, Johnson wants to hold on to that job. He needs, again, 218 votes for that to happen. He says he does have the votes to make that happen. We should see the final results later this afternoon.
Watching that very closely. Thank you, Michelle. President Biden plans to travel to New Orleans on Monday, and he'll tour where 14 people were killed on New Year's Day on Bourbon Street. Memorials are being held in their honor. NBC's Jesse Kirsch shares what we have learned about the victims.
This morning, the New Orleans terror attack victims are coming into sharper focus. Many of them young adults just starting out their lives. Martin Tiger Besh worked on Wall Street and graduated from Princeton University, where he was a star football player. The 27-year-old had been helping his younger brother prepare for the NFL draft.
He was my best friend. He was my role model.
Drew Dauphin's family says they'll always remember his infectious smile, telling NBC News in a statement, "We cherish the 26 years we had with him, and raising him will always be one of the greatest joys of our lives." Matthew Tenedorio moved to New Orleans to work for the Superdome's video team. Before he headed to Bourbon Street to celebrate the new year, the 25-year-old's parents said they had dinner together.
He was a wonderful kid. 25 years old, just starting life.
Nakira Dido was 18 years old and days away from starting nursing school, just like her mother and grandmother, according to the New York Times. 18-year-old Kareem Badawi was home visiting family after finishing his first semester at the University of Alabama. His parents described his kind heart and great personality. 63-year-old Terrence Kennedy, a born and bred New Orleanian, remembered by his sister for his extremely big heart. Reggie Hunter was a father of 2 sons. His cousin says he was the life of the party with a great sense of humor.
A lot of love in his heart, a great father. Someone that we're deeply, deeply gonna miss.
Nicole Perez was excited about a new promotion. She leaves behind a 5-year-old son. Billy DeMaio was a 25-year-old account executive in New York City. His mother telling NOLA.com he was a pure, gentle-hearted soul. And 21-year-old Hubert Gothrow's mother said he had a generous spirit, saying he was perfect. He would give anybody anything. Now, across the grieving city of New Orleans, memorials and vigils growing, remembering lives gone too soon.
That was Jesse Kirsch reporting. And we have also learned more about the man police say was behind that Cybertruck explosion outside a Trump hotel in Vegas. Investigators say they found Master Sergeant Matthew Leibelsberger's passport, credit cards, and military ID inside that destroyed Cybertruck. Leibelsberger was a Green Beret. A neighbor in his Colorado Springs community says Leibelsberger and his partner had a new baby at home. You can stay with us on air and online as we learn more about these developing stories. We will have complete coverage on WRAL.com and our news app.
Tickets to North Carolina aquariums will be half price later this month. The state's aquariums will offer the 50% discount for visits on Martin Luther King Day. That's Monday, January 20th. You do have to reserve your tickets in advance, and you can do that online. The Wake County Animal Center is at capacity again. It's starting the new year with its new pet adoption campaign. Special adoption fees are available through January 17th. Dogs and cats at the shelter for more than 2 weeks can be adopted for free. Those there for less than 2 weeks have fees of $25 for dogs and cats $5.
Wake Forest is looking for a new police chief. The current chief, Jeff Leonard, is retiring. He's served in the role for the last 15 years. Leonard is also the longest serving chief of police in Wake County. His last day will be February 1st.
And back here in the WRAL Live Center, a section of Walnut Creek Trail is closed because of fire damage sustained on Christmas Eve. This happened right between South New Hope Road and Walnut Overlook Way. This is very big with runners and bikers. The fire destroyed a part of the wooden bridge on the Greenway, and officials say repairs will take significant time because of unique materials and design. And right now there's no detour because they say a safe alternative route is not available. There's a lack of sidewalks, right-of-way limitations, and also safety concerns. Crossing New Hope Road safely would require installing a traffic signal or a pedestrian beacon. A timeline for repairs to the wooden structure may take about 2 to 3 months to be fixed.
People use that trail. Thanks, Michelle. Fireworks sparked a fire. A local family's truck and car damaged, and they say their neighbors are to blame.
Plus, pressure to drink. Why some Gen Zers feel there's a social stigma when they opt out of booze. Remember, you can watch WRAL News live anytime on WRAL.com or the WRAL app on your streaming device.
Now.
Welcome back. This is a live look at North Hills in Raleigh. All that sunshine out there, but we are still in the 40s. Maybe we might get to 50 degrees today, which is about normal for this time of year. You're watching WRAL News, available on YouTube TV and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. A Hope County man says fireworks his neighbor set off on New Year's Eve caused this fire. The flames destroyed his truck, damaged a car, and even burned part of his home. Kevin White says he and his daughter were watching the ball drop when he got a notification from his security cameras. He says that shows his neighbor shooting off fireworks. A few minutes later, he got a second notification that showed the fire.
Flames from that camera that I thought were my neighbor's house came outside, and I went running to help them, and I saw the flames were actually in my driveway, and that changed everything.
White says he's thankful he and his daughter were awake when the fire started. He says it's unclear how much car and home insurance will cover. His family started a GoFundMe to help cover the cost of a new car and a temporary rental. We spoke with the Rockfish Fire Department. They could not confirm what started the fire. We'll continue to follow up on the costs.
Many people are participating in Dry January, and at the same time, non-alcoholic drink alternatives are becoming more and more popular. But a new study shows a certain group within Gen Z is feeling more pressured to drink. The study included a survey of roughly 12,000 adults across several countries. Data revealed members of Gen Z over the legal drinking age are a main group feeling pressured about alcohol consumption. This was especially true for young men. However, a quarter of the survey participants reported seeing those who don't drink as more respectable.
They still feel a need to justify their choice of a low or no alcohol beverage, particularly when they're in social situations.
If you say, oh, I'm not drinking, so why not? Like, what's up?
Peer pressure is shown to play a large part in drinking. Don't forget, no is a complete sentence. More than half of people who said they would not drink ended up doing so because of peer pressure.
Celebrating the end of slavery. Up next, we'll talk to two city leaders about some of the events in Raleigh marking Emancipation Day.
And targeted theft. Why a store owner says the people who broke into his comic book store knew exactly what they wanted. The City of Raleigh Museum and the Pope House Museum is hosting an Emancipation Day this Saturday. The event teaches the community about the end of slavery in North Carolina. And here to share the unique history and the activities are Grady Bussey, who serves as the vice chair of the Friends of City of Raleigh Museum. And also joining us is Hazel Boomer, director of the Pope House Museum. Thanks both of you so much for joining us here today.
Thanks for having us.
So let's talk a little bit about this. Hazel, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about the history of Emancipation Day in North Carolina.
Yeah, so Emancipation Day essentially was started in New Bern, North Carolina, January 1st, 1863. It was essentially commemorating the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation that Abraham Lincoln put into place. And essentially they were watching for their freedom to come at midnight. That's the reason why you have like watch night services and things like that. And Emancipation Day became became a yearly event for African Americans each year in North Carolina.
And we know that, obviously, Juneteenth, people didn't know about them being emancipated. How do people celebrate that here in the state?
Well, so historically, since it was the fact that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves in 1863, at that time, the first step was that we gathered, those that realized that they were now free gathered together. There was a reading of the Declaration of Independence as well as the Emancipation Proclamation. There was a lot of community engagement aspects that went along with the day, and both black and white leaders got together and they really celebrated this moment.
All right, so we're talking a lot about celebrating. So what is the City of Raleigh Museum actually doing to celebrate?
Yeah, so we have 4 programs. So 2 of our programs, which is the Emancipation Day Trolley Tour and the Emancipation Day Breakfast, are almost sold out. But we have 2 free events. One of the events are going to happen at the Pope House Museum, where we're going to have Black Civil War reenactors from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then from 6 to 8, we are going to have a event called Sound of Freedom, and that is featuring the United Strings of Color. They are a nonprofit group that encourages Black children to play classical music, classical instruments, and they're going to incorporate abolitionism with music.
Okay, certainly sounds like there's a lot going on for Emancipation Day. People celebrate it. Thank you so much both for joining us here on WRAL.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Chris. A lot going on with the weather as well. A cold front will be moving through, and then our temperatures will tumble tonight. It's going to be a cold weekend.
It really is. And then a cold week next week. It just doesn't look like we're really going to get much of a break. First of all, this cold front is going to deliver cold air for tonight and tomorrow and through the weekend. And then we'll see another one that comes through on Sunday and Monday, delivering some colder air for next week. This one's delivering some snow to the mountains. I tell you what, it is coming down. We're going to take a look at that in a second. But I want you to look at the rain that's just behind the front here in the northern counties bordering Virginia. That's going to swing through by around 3 o'clock and bring some showers from, say, Durham to Roxborough, and then eventually a little farther south, especially from Raleigh eastward, we'll end up with a little bit of light patchy rain. Take a look at Lisa McRae. The snow is falling. I'm not sure how well you can see it from that view, but the snow is coming down. You can see right here in Banner Elk that the roads are fairly well covered with snow. And then take a look here at Beech Mountain. Almost a whiteout there. You can see the folks out there. Tons of people out enjoying this beautiful day to be out skiing. And of course, this is a look, sort of a wide view at the mountains in the distance, which you can't even see at all right now because of all that snow that is falling there. So here's a look at Futurecast. And we're fairly cloudy right now. We're going to end up with a little bit of sunshine on and off for the next couple of hours. But then again, by 3 o'clock, you can see these isolated showers from Durham up towards South Hill. And then around 4 to 5 o'clock, it slides eastward. Very light, very scattered. A couple hundredths of an inch is about all we'll see. We begin to clear overnight. The winds will pick up, and boy, the temperatures really turn colder too. We take a look at our rain chances. Again, just about 20% for today. It's a 60% chance Sunday night and a 90% chance on Monday. And mostly what we'll see out of this is rain. As you get up into Virginia, there may be a wintry mix of some freezing rain, maybe some sleet, maybe a little bit of snow. For parts of our viewing area, less than an inch there along and just north of the Virginia line. But boy, you don't have to get too much farther north to see as much as a foot of snow in parts of West Virginia. From Richmond westward to Kentucky, 3 to 5 inches. So this is a storm system that is going to dump a lot of snow, but it's going to miss us. Now, notice how Tennessee sees it, and then it just kind of bumps on up into Virginia, just missing us completely. How much rain might we see from today all the way through, say, Tuesday of next week? Most likely a half an inch in the north and a quarter of an inch down to the south. It does look like a fairly extended period of time that we'll see rain, but currently it doesn't look like we're going to see, 2, 3, 4 inches by any means. Just a little bit of light glazing of ice potentially from Roanoke Rapids back up towards South Hill. So some freezing rain could occur there. But again, for most of the viewing area, it's just not looking likely that we'll see snow. Now, we'll see a lot more runs of the computer models between now and Sunday night. So I highly encourage you to continue to check in with us regularly in case anything nothing changes. Of course, almost a week ago, it looked like we might get some snow out of this, but as we're getting closer to the event, it looks much, much less likely. And if I had to put some money on it, I would bet on the fact that we're only going to see rain the bulk of the viewing area. But again, keep checking back. It definitely will be a cold week next week, but once we get past Monday, it looks dry.
Elizabeth, thanks. Now, earlier, we asked you, the viewers, on a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being very concerned, how concerned are you about alcohol causing cancer? This was after the U.S. Surgeon General came out with the warning today about a possible link.
And so here you can see where we got, it looks like the audience average about a 6, which obviously leans more toward extremely concerned. But, some people may not scare them away from having a little bit of wine here and there. We'll continue to collect answers throughout the day so you can share this with your friends. Just scan that QR code on your screen or head to WRAL.com/yourvoice.
It's a gift that keeps on giving. One man's Christmas gift is doing more than helping him pass the time. How an RC vehicle is allowing one man to clear the snow without the backaches.
As we wrap things up here, we have a look at a few of the headlines that we're following today. This morning, the White House announced that President Biden and First Lady Biden will travel to New Orleans on Monday. The Bidens will meet with officials on the ground and grieve with families and community members impacted by the Bourbon Street attack. Biden says he has ordered an accelerated investigation into that.
If you don't drink, don't start. And if you do, now is the time to reduce your intake. That's the advice from the U.S. Surgeon General. Federal health officials say not enough Americans recognize that alcohol is a risk factor for cancer. And the Surgeon General thinks adding a warning to the label will help with prevention.
Durham's longest-serving mayor will be immortalized with a street named after him. Bill Bell was honored today, which also is his 84th birthday. He was mayor of Durham from 2001 until 2017. That was after serving 26 years on the county commission. Bell is credited with revitalizing Durham's downtown and spearheading the development of the popular Durham Performing Arts Center. The street in front of that building now bears his name.
We rarely get enough snow around here to shovel, but if you're looking for a simple solution, a couple in Erie, Pennsylvania may have the solution when we do get snow. It's a remote control snowplow, complete with a small shovel attachment. So he got it as a gift from his family. And on top of it being a lot of fun, he says it's been useful for shoveling his driveways.
It was on his Christmas list, his wish list. And since we both have the same Amazon account, he kind of figured it out. So he knew he was getting it. But it was a Christmas gift. It is a Christmas gift.
And it's adorable. The family will get lots of use out of that remote control device. Erie is under a lake effect snow warning today with additional accumulations expected between 12 and 20 inches. They will make use of that.
May take a little time to get there, but they'll get there eventually. All right, some stolen Pokemon cards. The owner of a popular comic book and collectible store in California says thieves stole approximately $10,000 in graded and raw cards. The store owner says the burglary happened early yesterday morning. The thieves broke the deadbolt on the door and then went to specific cards and made a quick getaway. Probably a Charizard in there. Those are worth a lot. At least the originals are holographic. The stolen cards range in value from $50 to $500, and the store owner doubts that the stolen cards will be recovered.
Our pet of the day from the Wake County SPCA is a sweet older guy with the most soulful brown eyes. Dakota is a 10-year-old neuter dog weighing 60 pounds. He's house trained, crate trained, and he's lower energy. He gets along with other dogs. Dakota's adoption fee is waived through January 10th thanks to a partnership with Hill's Pet Nutrition. For more information, please visit spcaawake.org. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update is coming up in 30 minutes.
And just a reminder, you can get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. Hope you have a great day.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.